What if the person who loves you most is the one the world says you cannot have? What if the connection that makes your soul feel alive is wrapped in an age difference that no one else understands? Stop dismissing what you feel. What you are experiencing is not confusion, it is divine recognition. Some bonds are not built by human hands. They are written before birth, activated by a single glance, and impossible to undo by logic or timing or social pressure. This is exactly what happened between you two. First, this is when the soul recognizes its mirror. Sometimes God unites two people not because the path is smooth, but because the purpose is sacred. You may not share the same generation, the same background, or the same chapter of life, but your souls know each other at a level deeper than explanation. This person did not fall in love with your resume, your birth year, or your circumstances. They fell in love with your frequency, your stillness, your warmth, and the spirit that feels like coming home. Something in your presence, the way you speak, the way you care, the way you simply exist, reached the most guarded part of them. Even when they fought it, the answer stayed the same. They did not decide to fall for you, they simply could not stop it. Second, consider the invisible architecture of God's timing. God does not operate on accident. Every introduction, every pause, and every contrast fits into a blueprint that human minds rarely decode in real time. The age gap that made you second-guess this love was never a problem in heaven's ledger. In divine mathematics, love is not counted in years. It is measured in calling. Perhaps you entered this person's life to reawaken something that had gone quiet inside them, like faith, softness, hope, or the nerve to feel again. They arrived in yours to prove that love does not apply for permission before it enters. Love moves through the heart directly, and the heart answers without consulting the crowd. There were moments when they looked at you and silently asked themselves why you felt familiar, why being near you felt like exhaling, why they cared so deeply when every reasonable voice told them not to. That quiet confusion was not madness, it was recognition of something ordained. Third, there is a war between the brain and the chest. You both lived it. A silent, exhausting conflict where the mind listed all the reasons and the heart ignored every single one. The age difference may have caused them to retreat, to question everything, or to vanish without warning. They may have convinced themselves they were protecting you, that you deserved someone from your own world, but every attempt to leave was interrupted by something deeper calling them back. That was not weakness speaking, that was truth, because what they felt for you was not the fragile kind of love that collapses under pressure. It was the quiet, enduring kind that strengthens in the dark when nobody is watching. God sometimes delivers love through the wrong-looking door to demonstrate that real connection is never about age. It is about alignment. You understand each other's unspoken words. You recognize each other's hidden wounds. You do not need to introduce yourself because you are already known. Fourth, what they truly loved was your spirit. What pulled them toward you was not youth or appearance. It was grace. It was the way you hold kindness even after being bruised by life. The way you choose forgiveness when others would choose distance. Your eyes still carry belief even after seasons of difficulty. They witnessed something sacred in you that whispered to them that love can still be untouched in a world that treats it like currency. When they hear your voice, something inside them unclenches. When you cross their mind, they find courage. Even through miles of silence, a thread remains taut between you as though your souls are still mid-conversation. This love did not stumble into existence. It was dispatched to restore, to instruct, and to illuminate. Fifth, consider the weight of public opinion. Both of you know what judgment looks like. Society prefers to grade love by conditions, calendars, backgrounds, and social scripts, but heaven uses none of those tools. When God places a connection inside your chest with intention behind it, He does not wait for community approval. He plants it quietly and lets it grow in the deep places. Fear of judgment pushed one of you backward at times. Perhaps they buried their feelings or locked them away in silence. Perhaps they persuaded themselves that walking away was the kinder option. But genuine love does not conclude when it goes unspoken. It takes a seat in the soul and waits without expiration. Sixth, there is a sacred instruction buried inside this love. Every heaven-sent love story carries a lesson stitched into its lining. Sometimes the lesson is to love with your whole chest. Sometimes it is to release with dignity. Sometimes it is to trust that what belongs to you will always circle back. This person was placed on your path to confirm your value, to prove that across all differences you can be loved, truly seen, and deliberately chosen for the person you are underneath everything. Perhaps you were sent into their life to remind them that genuine feeling has no expiration date. Even if your paths do not merge permanently, the soul imprint remains. A sacred thread exists between you that no gap in age, geography, or time can unravel. 7th. The signs that their heart still holds you are real. They may not reach out every day, but in the still hours your presence drifts back to them. It could be a single word, a fragrance, or a melody that stops time for a breath. They may not announce it, but privately they still wonder about your days. They return to old messages and let themselves sit inside old memories. They feel the outline of you before sleep and wake with a sensation that something unresolved still links you together. This is because souls do not delete. Even across years, the connection you built continues to live inside them. 8th. Hear what God is saying to you directly in this moment. You are not irrational for loving the way you did. You were chosen to experience a love that defied categories, because your spirit needed the expansion. He does not want you running toward what is not yet ready, but he also wants you to stop doubting that it was genuine. This love transformed you both. It brought dormant things back to life, things like compassion, honesty, courage, and belief. If reunion is part of the design, it will arrive when lessons are absorbed and when both hearts are genuinely prepared to meet without walls. Until that moment, move in trust. Love that carries divine origin does not disappear. It simply holds its position. 9th. There exists a silent prayer shared between two souls. Each night somewhere, one of you speaks the other's name in the quiet of a private prayer. It may never be said aloud, but the heavens receive it. Perhaps they pray that you are well. Perhaps you carry their healing in your nightly words to God. Either way, those prayers are collected and kept. When two souls have reached each other at that depth, their intercessions are never dismissed. Even silence becomes holy between you. This is a bond that does not require constant language. It simply is. 10th. Remember that love is immune to time, age, and terror. Age is a measurement, but love is a current. When God authors a love story, he does not reference a calendar. He references purpose. The one who fell for you did not do so out of logic or intention. They fell because their soul recognized its resting place inside yours. Even behind composed eyes and crowded schedules, that love still pulses in a quiet rhythm inside them. When both hearts are finally prepared, the universe may realign your orbits. This time without the fog. This time with peace, clarity, and unmistakable grace. The closing message from the divine is this: you were never too young and they were never too old. You are simply two souls arriving at the precise intersection where both of you required light the most. This story has not ended. It is simply progressing at a pace that only heaven is authorized to set. So continue forward, continue trusting, continue loving from a place of faith. God witnessed how you loved, and it moved him. You did not love recklessly. You loved with courage, and that courage alone was already the miracle. In summary, this person fell in love with you through divine alignment and not despite the age difference. The experience was designed to teach you both something timeless about love, patience, and the extraordinary phenomenon of souls recognizing one another across every human-made divide. Trust that what heaven has assigned to you is guarded from above. If this message carried value, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you genuinely for being here. This bond is still in motion even in the spaces you cannot perceive. Right now, invisible forces are working behind the scenes to deepen what began between you. You may feel an unusual heaviness in your chest lately, or a sense that something is moving beneath the surface without a visible cause. This is the spiritual tether between you drawing tighter. What the world sees are two people at separate coordinates of life. What heaven sees are two souls calibrated for a shared mission. This person is currently confronting their own feelings head-on. They are discovering that no amount of distraction silences the echo of your spirit. They are beginning to grasp that the calm they experience at the thought of you is worth more than the comfort of social conformity. You are being asked to honor the pace of your life with trust. It is natural to feel like time is escaping, or that the differences between you are growing rather than shrinking. But within the soul's dimension, time holds no authority. Every day you invest in your own healing and your own joy. You are amplifying the connection. You are becoming someone who loves without strangling the outcome. This person senses that evolution in you, even from a distance, and it draws their spirit toward yours more powerfully than any spoken invitation ever could. They are loosening the grip of obligation and expectation that has quietly governed their choices. They are arriving at the understanding that a life lived avoiding this connection is a life only half inhabited. A new honesty is rising between you. You may notice more vivid dreams or the sensation of mid-conversation with them inside your own mind. These are indicators that the barriers separating your hearts are softening. God is utilizing this interval between you to scrub away the old fears and buried wounds that would have sabotaged the connection if you had arrived together too early. The separation is not abandonment. It is architecture. It is the season in which you are learning that your wholeness is not housed in another person, but in the divine light already living inside you. When you truly inhabit this truth, you become ready for a love that is steady, healthy, and built to last. The bond you carry is proof that wonder lives in the places you least anticipated. This person is learning to be fearless because of your influence. They are surveying their life and acknowledging that you introduced a color they had stopped believing the world still contained. Even in their silence, their soul is quietly grateful. Trust that every whispered prayer and every private tear was witnessed. Nothing vanishes in God's kingdom. The love that took root in your chest was planted with intention, and that intention is still unfolding. Keep your heart open and your posture tall, knowing that the finest version of this chapter is still being prepared on your behalf. The silence between you right now is not hollow. It is dense with transformation. While you move through your day, this person is frequently struck by a sudden wave of your energy. They could be mid-sentence, mid-task, when the thought of you arrives uninvited and stays. This is happening because the bond has transcended the physical plane and established itself in the spirit. They are arriving at the understanding that you are not simply someone they encountered, but someone they were always supposed to find. The age gap that once appeared as a wall is beginning to look like a single step they have already decided to take. Their entire frame of reference is changing because the love they carry for you is denser and more honest than the noise of outside criticism. You are currently being schooled in stillness. This is among the most demanding lessons because the human heart craves resolution and evidence. But God is revealing that a connection anchored in divine ground does not need to be accelerated. You are learning to locate your own worth independently of this relationship, and that is precisely what makes your soul magnetic to theirs. This person is tracking your growth even from behind the curtain of distance, and they are quietly transformed by your ability to stand tall on your own. You are becoming a reflection for them, showing them the version of themselves that light and courage make possible. A shift is coming in the channel between you. The unvoiced things are preparing to surface. Whether through an unexpected message, a spontaneous crossing of paths, or a fragile and honest moment, the truth will begin to leak through the walls. You will discover that the time spent apart did not erode the bond, but calcified it into something immovable. This person has rehearsed what honest words from them would sound like if they ever had the courage to deliver them. They are exhausted by the performance they maintain for the rest of the world. With you, they feel the rare possibility of finally removing the mask and simply breathing. This is the gift of a genuine soul connection. It offers sanctuary that no other environment provides. Trust that the road ahead is being cleared. Every anxiety about judgment and every fear about tomorrow is being held by a higher authority on your behalf. You are being encouraged to maintain a tender heart and an elevated spirit. Refuse to let bitterness or cynicism take occupancy in your mind. The love you feel is confirmation that you are fully alive and fully capable of experiencing something rare and profound. This person is approaching their own breakthrough, and your energy is the current carrying them forward. Remain patient and remain anchored because what you share is being watched over and directed toward a purpose that dwarfs both of your individual stories. A breakthrough is near, and its arrival announces itself through a change in the air surrounding you. You may notice the heavy sensation of waiting dissolving into an unfamiliar but welcome stillness. This is your spirit receiving advance knowledge that the most difficult portion of this journey has already crested. This person is reaching a threshold beyond which denial becomes impossible. The reasoning they constructed to maintain their distance is quietly dismantling. They are recognizing that time is not standing still, and that the single regret accumulating inside them is the honesty they withheld from you. This awareness is generating a new momentum within them, a forward-leaning urgency to close the space and finally speak the words that have lived unvoiced between you. You will begin to encounter small, unmistakable signals that the universe is engineering a conversation. You may hear their name in unexpected contexts, or revisit a private memory without provocation. These are divine dispatches confirming that you are both tuned to the same spiritual frequency. This person is quietly drafting a future in their imagination where concealment is no longer required. They are exhausted by the geography of this silence. They have stopped seeing you as someone they admire from a cautious distance and started seeing you as someone their life story cannot be told without. The age difference is shrinking into a footnote inside a far grander and more luminous narrative. Your assignment in this moment is to remain anchored in grace. When the breakthrough materializes, it may arrive softly rather than dramatically. It may appear as a simple, trembling moment of raw honesty. Be prepared to receive it without armor. This person has waged enormous internal battles to reach this threshold, and they need confirmation that your heart is still a place where they will be held safely. You have both expanded immeasurably during this season of separation. You have learned sovereignty, and they have learned the price of suppressing what is real. This growth was the entire reason for the interval. Two stronger, more honest people are now prepared to carry a love that is profound and demanding. The energy between you is converging toward a resolution that is worthy of everything you endured. Trust that every delay was protection, holding you in separate places until both of you were equipped to handle the full weight of truth. God is leveling the terrain ahead, lifting the burden of shame and dissolving the architecture of doubt. You are being ushered into a season of clarity in which the wondering finally ends. The connection is becoming undeniable, and the reason it was sent is preparing to reveal itself completely. Keep your heart receptive and your spirit at rest, because the bridge is nearly finished and the crossing will justify every single moment of the wait. The moment of truth is nearer than it has ever been. You may find your sensitivity heightened lately, as if you are picking up their emotional signal through the air between you. This person is currently undergoing a decisive internal transformation, where the hunger for outside validation is finally losing its grip. They are done performing contentment for an audience. They are beginning to choose the quiet voice of their own soul over the loud consensus of the crowd. The age difference, once experienced as a burden, is now being reframed as the convergence of two distinct wisdoms arriving exactly where they were always supposed to meet. They are understanding that what you offer, the particular kind of peace and perspective you carry, exists nowhere else in their world. You may notice that the future no longer frightens you the way it once did. A grounded confidence is rising within you, telling you quietly that everything is already in capable hands. This is the signal that your spirit has fully released the outcome into divine custody. When you cease the effort of forcing things into form, you create the exact conditions for them to arrive on their own. This person feels the change in your energy as well. They register that you are no longer reaching for them, and it activates something in them that moves in your direction without hesitation.